Hello there. It was quite simply a rout.
Massive game for Australia. Doesn't come any bigger, does it?
Must win a game in an Ashes series.
Heads is the call. England have won the toss. We're going to have a ball. Michael, what would you like to have done?
Well, we're batting, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to bat well.
Time while she got freedom. Heartbreaks, no, it don't break even.
Rogers and Smith have both gone.
What a start. Warner's gone.
England all over Australia.
Sensational stuff. Oh, what a catch. Oh, they're tumbling all over the place.
Australia now 6 for 29.
Australia reeling here.
And Australia all out for 60, but Stuart Broad take a bow. Absolutely awesome.
Yes, Australia were bowled out in just 18 overs and 3 balls as they failed to bat out the opening session of the match for the first time since 1896. This is the verdict on one of the most dramatic days of Ashes cricket ever. 60 all out. Have Australia's batsmen surrendered the Ashes? 8 for 15. Broad is the destroyer. 111 balls is the shortest ever first innings in a test. 124, Root then rubs Australia's noses in it with his 8th test ton. Yeah, those are the numbers from day one in Nottingham, and they just do not add up for Australia. And even by the standards of this fluctuating series, today's cricket in Nottingham takes a bit of explaining. In and out, in an hour and 40 minutes, Australia then had to chase the ball round Trent Bridge as England raced by the close into a lead of 214. Well, here to do that explaining, as the High Court of Cricket goes into session once more, are Bob Willis, Mark Butcher, and I should imagine a somewhat dejected Tom Moody. And Tom, would you care to open the case for the prosecution, or are you batting for the defence today?
I can't defend that today, Charles. I'm sorry. Well,
Well,
you're probably. Yeah, I know you're not sorry, but yeah, no. Look, that's inexcusable, and you know there certainly was challenging conditions, but Australia was so far off the mark. It's a joke.
Was that a 60 all-out pitch, Bob?
No, it certainly wasn't. But England bowled superbly. Stuart Broad, you know, cream of the crop. But it was a team effort in every sense of the word. The catching, absolutely brilliant. How often have we had to criticise England's close to the wicket catching? That was very, very special today. And Mark Wood and Steve Finn came to the party as well. But it was certainly a very, very sharp broadsword.
And Mark, as someone who had to suffer over the years when McGrath was dismembering England and Warne was taking them apart, this was payback big time.
Well, yeah, if we can go back to those times, yes, for certain. But one thing I suppose that gave me heart while I was watching the whole thing was that things didn't ever fall apart quite like that. It was an astonishing collapse from Australia. Brilliant bowling and catching, as Bob has said, and records tumbling all over the place. And to think that, you know, that morning session has probably sealed the Ashes for England. It's quite an extraordinary day.
Let's have a look at some of the records that have fallen. We can't bring you them all. We haven't got time in the show to do that. But here are just a few of them to start with. The shortest ever first innings in a test match, just 111 deliveries. Extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, you bat longer in a 2020 game. 18 overs and 3 balls. 5 wickets fell in the first 25 deliveries that were bowled in the game. That's the fastest decline in any test innings in history. Broad's figures are the 3rd best ever for England and Australia. Only Laker, with his 9 and 10 in the 56 Manchester Test matches, got better figures than him. Broad's figures are the best ever in Test cricket at Trent Bridge. And Broad is the first bowler ever to take at least 7 wickets before lunch. Can you believe it yet, Tom, that has happened?
No, the game starts tomorrow, doesn't it?
No.
That's what it feels like, doesn't it? It was certainly, after watching that first session, it was a case of, hang on, this hasn't happened, has it? Because everything just went to plan perfectly for England. Winning the toss, firstly, that was an important thing. But then the way they bowled the perfect length, they bowled the perfect line, they caught everything that came their way. And Australia just are not learning from their experiences of the past. You know, they had a similar wicket at Edgbaston that they were challenged with, and they were bundled out. Surely between then and now they would have learnt just a different approach, go out there with a different tempo and just suck in a bit of pressure. Just take it on board after you lose a couple and try to halt the slide.
I mean, is it an ego thing? Do they have to go out and play aggressively? Or are just Australians just not suspicious enough to think that a ball might move sideways from time to time?
Yeah, look, it's a good point you make, because I do feel that quite often the Australian team tries to play this dominant, aggressive game. And when you come across conditions like this, or you come across conditions where the ball's turning and keeping low, you have to adapt. You have to change your style, and I think Australia have been poor in making those adaptations when they need to.
But this was just brilliant, England, wasn't it? I mean, Australia may be falling apart, and good luck to them. But from England's point of view, this was, remember, without Anderson and all the angst about how we're ever going to do without Jimmy, well, who needs Jimmy when you've got Stuart Broad running like that?
Yeah, and Broad has bowled consistently well throughout this series. I don't think any other bowler on view has done that. He's bowled brilliantly in every Test match, although England lost in a humiliating fashion at Lord's. Broad was the pick of England's bowlers, even in that defeat. But we're seeing how quickly the wheel of fortune spins round in cricket, aren't we? Australia, top of the tree, beat England 5-0 in the last Ashes series. World Cup winners only a few months ago. Now Michael Clarke is looking very much like poor Alistair Cook did in Australia during that humiliation.
OK, well, no doubt about the hero and the main man of the day. It has to be, of course, Stuart Broad with those extraordinary bowling figures of 8-15. He bowled unchanged throughout the Australian first innings, and at the close of play, somewhat delightedly, he spoke to Ian Ward.
What a day. Not just for you, 8 for 15, brilliant. That, couldn't have dreamed any better, could you?
Oh, I mean, it's certainly been one of the best first days of a Test match I've been involved in. I mean, the way the guys batting, I mean, Rootie's been in the form of his life for, what, 18 months, but Johnny Bairstow just coming back into the side, playing his attacking way like he has. I mean, Trevor's been great in the change room, just saying, look, guys, just go and play your way. You're the one who's got to go and perform, do it your way, and I think the batters have done that well today.
Leading the attack without Jimmy, 8 for 15.
Yeah, that's my best bowling figures in all cricket, I think. I got 7 for 12 against Kim Bolton under 15s. But, yeah, I mean, that looks a bit strange on the scorecard, I must admit. But, I mean, it settled my nerves getting the wicket in the first over, I think. And I mean, we knew we had to bowl an attacking length, get it up there, give it a chance. And the way we caught was special. I mean, that Spain trip's paid off.
Well, we've got something for you. It's been a very special day.
Stuart Broad has got his first Test wicket.
That's got him. That's what England needed.
Edged, and that's a big moment for Stuart Broad, his first fifer in Test cricket.
Bowled him, dragged on. Bowled him. What a beauty. Broad, 5 wickets.
Oh, he's got it. Stuart Broad has got his hat-trick. Trent celebrates. Nottingham is loving every moment of this.
Brilliant from Broad, brilliant from England.
Broad picks up yet another one. That's 11 in the match.
The new King of Lords.
Oh, Stuart Broad has found his mojo again.
Lobbed straight to mid-off. That's it. That's the wicket that England needed.
Bowled him.
Oh, bowled him. Everyone's a winner. Wonderful performance from Broad. Oh, beauty. Oh, 300. He's joined the big club. Stuart Broad.
Yeah, not just 8 for 15, but now level with Fred Truman.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird looking at that. I mean, some of the names involved in that. I mean, I had dinner with Bob the other night, and Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly special. I mean, it's what it means to the other guys as well. I remember Swanee talking about one of his highlights, catching Jimmy's 300th at Lords, and Cookie just came up to me there saying how proud he was to take the catch for the 300th here. So Jimmy sort of mentioned how disappointed he was not to be out there for the 300th as well. So it makes you very proud when you see what it means to the whole team, because everyone's all fighting for the same thing, and that's to win Test matches, and hopefully I've contributed to a few.
Well, this is your home ground, and you sit top of the pile in Test matches as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those weird days. I mean, I wasn't trying anything different. Cookie said, just let's hit an attacking length. When you win the toss and bowl, there's always that danger that you chase wickets, and we actually held our composure quite well out there. I mean, 10 for 3, it would have been quite easy to get greedy and try and bowl magic balls, but all the talk out there the whole time from the fielders encouraging the bowlers, stay patient because it will happen for us.
Well, you did stay patient, and you also kept your disciplines. If I show you your pitch map to the right-handers, nice groupings and a lot full, which is not necessarily a natural length, is it?
No, I mean, it's something I've worked hard on. I mean, I went through quite a tough period in 2011, I think, where I was getting criticised for the shorter bowling. I came back, worked hard at knots with Andre Adams and Paul Franks about how can I find that fuller length? And actually, at the time, I put a cover in because just to throw it up there, give it a chance. And I think that was a real learning curve for me, because it made me realise, look, I need to bring the stumps into play and bring guys onto the front foot to challenge top quality Test players, really.
Even more impressive the lefties.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've worked quite hard on, actually, with Otis Gibson, because I'm not a natural swinger of the ball away to left-handers, and obviously the Aussies have got a couple of them at the top of the order, so I wanted to work on getting the ball away from them, and that round the wicket I can really fire it in at the stumps, and if I get it to go away it can go to the slips. If it stays straight, it's an LBW, but it's something I've worked hard on, so I'm delighted it's working at the minute.
Come on, let's run through them, because it was a terrific day, all 8 of them. Rogers, you got the mockers on a little bit at the moment. But that settled you down, didn't it? You got that 300 out the way early.
Yeah, I think that was important, and I say it was great conditions to bowl this morning. I mean, I'll be brutally honest. When Cookie asked me what will you do at the toss, I was leaning towards batting because
that's because you're
I'm a bowler. But I mean, it proved throughout the day that it was a great toss to win, and we exposed the conditions nicely, and then the sunshine came out when we batted. But I mean, what do we have? 7 nicks and 1 player miss. I mean, sometimes that's just the way it works, and the Aussies will be a bit unlucky, but we'll take it.
The catching was outstanding, none more so than this absolute stunner from Ben Stokes. But what I'd like you to keep your eye on as we roll this through and just show it a couple of times is your reaction.
To be honest, like talking, I've not seen my reaction yet, but I just thought it was past him. So when he's managed to grab it, I mean, you can see the angle he's caught it, it's behind him. Lythy's set off to go and fetch the ball. It was one of the best catches I've seen live. I wasn't here for Strauss's in 05, but it was past him, it was gone, and the way he sort of clawed it was very special.
Better than Strauss's.
Better than Strauss's.
Right, you're in a fantastic position, but what is the pitch do now? What are the batsmen saying? There's still a Test match to win, there's still the Ashes to win. Very
much so. I mean, we've just had a quick chat in the change room about enjoying the moment now, but when we come here tomorrow, well, when you leave the ground tonight, come here tomorrow, we've still got a big job to do, because Australia will fight back hard. The guys thought it slowed down a little bit, the wicket, but when the sun comes out here, it can do that. But there's still a bit there. I mean, Hazelwood bowled a spell at Johnny particularly, where he got it swinging from a fuller length and looked dangerous. So as a bowler, you're always looking at a wicket hoping that it's doing something throughout. And if we get overheads, then the bowlers will be in the game. But Trent Bridge can get flat when the sun's out, so we've still got a lot of work to do tomorrow, and this game's not over yet.
Stuart Broad, and I guess somewhere in Nottingham tonight, he is sitting pinching himself to really believe that that has happened, because it has been the most extraordinary day. Bob, he referred to a dinner he had with you on Tuesday. Can you take full credit for this performance? Did you coach him? Did you say some words which has got him on track?
I wish I could, Charles, but no. It was a very convivial evening. Otis Gibson and the 7 seamers there. We had dinner together, chewed the fat a bit, but I can tell you that their preparation to bowl at these Australian batsmen has been meticulous about the lines that they've bowled. Stuart mentioned going round the wicket to the left-handers. That's not always a comfort zone for bowlers. It's not easy to swap between bowling over the wicket and bowling round the wicket. And although Stuart didn't get him out, they talked at length about bowling to David Warner and keeping him quiet. And apart from the second innings at Edgbaston, they've done that. They bowl at the stumps at Warner. No width at all, either outside off or leg. So I'd love to take all the credit, but I can tell you Otis Gibson deserves a hell of a lot of credit for what went on there today.
There's a very worrying rumour that Stewart said you're not as nasty in real life as you are on the verdict.
Well, when you bowl the opposition out for 60, it's pretty difficult to be nasty, lad.
The great thing about Stewart is that when he gets on these rolls, and he's done it time and again in his career, he starts blowing hot and then he is just unplayable.
Yeah, irresistible is the word. He mentioned it there about the length that he operates on when he gets on those rolls. When you think back to 2009, it was full deliveries, it was hitting the stumps, it was getting people caught on the drive on a slow pitch at the Oval. You know, when he gets into that sort of rhythm, and I'm 100% convinced that it's about the pace he arrives at the crease at when he gets into these great spells. Stewart has this sort of slightly strange front arm that disappears off to extra cover, and I think if he's not travelling at the right speed, that makes it difficult for him to consistently hit a good length. But today, and throughout the rest of the series, as Bob mentioned at the top of the show, his line and length has been absolutely perfect. And today he got, you know, the reward for what has been a steady bowling right the way through the series.
The catching was absolutely brilliant. And the Stokes catch, which is worth having another look at, isn't it? Just was the cream of the crop.
Yeah, it's a stunner. You know, when you're wide in that cordon, he's about 5th or 6th slip. When you're very wide, it's very hard to judge the line and the angle and the pace of the ball. When you're at first and second, you're getting a clear line of it. So, you know, that came very quickly. And, you know, in that situation, you're always looking for a catch, but you're not looking to take one out of someone's back pocket like that.
OK, so that was good, but here's the other one which they were talking about at Trent Bridge. Another Trent Bridge catch, 2005. Which is better?
Well, that's my point. That's still a very, very good catch, but I think Stokes is better purely because Strauss is at second slip here and he's got the line of the ball very early, where Stokes is squarer at 5th slip. It's harder for him to judge the line of the pace. It's always going to be a little bit more consistent when you're at 1st or 2nd slip.
Physically, the Stokes catch is better, but in terms of the tension and what it meant in the series, then Strauss's gets the nod.
Right, so it's 1-1. Bob, you can have the casting vote.
Well, I always think that gully is the more difficult place to field because your reaction time is so slow. And for that alone, I would give the accolade to Ben Stokes because the ball was actually behind him when he caught it. A remarkable effort.
So Broad took 8. We've got to talk about the other 2, haven't we? Because otherwise Messrs Finn and Wood will be complaining that they haven't got a look in on tonight's verdict. Let's look at the Wood one to start with. This was Warner, and this is a crucial wicket as well in Wood's first over, and it's knocked over the dangerous Warner.
Yeah, Jaffa, an absolute belter to get early, perfect length, darting back off the seam. You know, David Warner hasn't done a lot wrong there. You know, he's quite still at the crease, technically playing with a straight bat, looking to play it late. Yeah. He just got a good one early. That happens.
And then we've got the Neville dismissal, and this is Finn getting in on the act with his wicket.
Yeah, well, Tom mentioned before that Neville had got himself into the mindset where he was thinking about leaving everything, and there it just almost looked like he couldn't believe that he was going to have to defend his stumps because he didn't do it. He missed it by an absolute mile and was late as anything on the ball as well. So, you know, I mean, Stephen Finn, it must be Mark Wood's turn if Australia get to bat. When Australia get to bat a second time, we've had Anderson, we've had Finn, we've now had Broad. Mark Wood will be thinking, well, it's my turn for a hatful next.
Were you surprised that that Wood got the new ball over Finn?
Probably not really, no. I think, you know, Wood to me looks like he's someone that can swing the ball, and obviously that's important when you're taking the new ball. And I think Finn also, they probably, looking back at the Edgbaston performance, they thought he probably felt more comfortable coming in at that first change position instead of sort of thrusting additional pressure on him. Let's just keep him back there at first change and let him come into it when the openers have had their first chance.
That's something in modern cricket, Charles. Swing is king now with the new ball. I hoped that when I was playing that the quickest bowler in the side would get the new ball to get players looking to get on the front foot, and then the quicker bowler getting steepling bounce from that hard new ball. Now, if you've got someone that can swing that new ball, particularly against opponents from overseas, then they always will get the nod with the new ball.
OK, time for our first break on tonight's verdict. When we come back, we'll hear what went wrong from Australia from Michael Clark, and we'll ask why can't Australia bat against the moving ball? That's next on The Verdict.
Hardies of Australia sponsors England cricket.
New Discovery Sport. Land Rover, above and beyond.
We gave people the Andrex Clean routine to try and asked them how clean they feel after going to the loo.
I feel as clean as a hippo.
Hippo?
Potamus. As clean as pink candy floss. As clean as a squid.
As clean as a squid. I love that. How Andrex do you feel?
With Hotels.com's mobile app, you can book a hotel room from your smartphone, from your tablet, from your different kind of smartphone, from your even smarter kind of smartphone. In fact, from almost any device you might decide to take on your travels. Which is obviously useful if someone forgot to book in the first place. Hotels.com, the obvious choice.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late. Here we go. Get those knees up. Shake what your mother gave ya. Show it.
I'm sexy and I know it. I'm sexy and I know it.
Get those legs up.
Check it out. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Go anywhere and everywhere with a TomTom sat-nav with European map updates for life and a free case. Now only £79. Get out there and give the car some summer loving with 3 for 2 on car cleaning. And be ready for that summer journey with better than half price on all Halfords 4-litre oil. Now only £12. Visit Halfords this weekend.
The BT Price Drop brings you an earth-shattering offer for a limited time only on super reliable, super fast fibre optic broadband. Get BT Infinity and unlimited UK weekend calls for £10 a month. That's over 20% off, and it's just a 12-month contract. And BT Infinity is up to 5 times faster than the average speed of standard UK broadband. Don't miss the BT Price Drop offer. Switch to BT today. Call 0800 028 0048 or visit bt.com/drop.
That's spooky. I mean, that's uncanny. It looks just like him. You know how many people on the earth have cheekbones like that, and he's got them? They're like twins.
All eyes on the World Cup.
21 games.
So far, so good.
16 nations.
Great work.
10 days.
This is fantastic to watch.
One winner.
It's exciting netball.
The Netball World Cup starts tomorrow morning at 6 with England v Scotland, live on Sky Sports 3.
A new season dawns. Every single club is full of hope. Come on, my son! Yes! Got it! Got it! Oh! It does not get any better than this.
Hardy sponsors England cricket.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Tonight, trying to come to terms with the most extraordinary day of Test cricket you could possibly wish to see. Australia bowled out for 60 inside the first 19 overs of the match, and then Root stroking a sublime 100 to leave England 2-14 ahead at the close of play. Could England have had a better day or come to that Australia a worse one? Here's the Aussie captain, Michael Clarke.
Certainly a tough day, there's no doubt about it. Obviously good toss to win for Cookie, but in saying that, I thought Stuart Broad's execution was spot on. He pitched the ball up, he found the edge, but didn't play and missed too many, and England held on to their chances, and then the way they come out and batted, obviously the wicket dried out a little bit, but again, you still have to bat well, and I thought Joe Root played really well.
Such a big day, such a big Test match. Anger, frustration, what happened?
It's hard right now. I guess a mixture of both. Obviously, I'm really disappointed with how the day's turned out. But then again, you've got to look at it, it's only one day down. I know our backs are against the wall, we've got some work to do tomorrow, but you've got to find a way. You've got to find a way to front up tomorrow and firstly bowl England out and then try and bat as big as we can. Conditions were difficult to bat in, but were the batsmen mentally up for the fight, do you think? I think we were. Obviously, it doesn't look like we were. We got out some good balls, some poor shots. I don't want to take anything away from Stuart Broad, though. I thought he bowled really well in conditions that were conducive for good fast bowling. It doesn't matter how green the wicket is or how hard it is to bat. If you don't execute, if you don't put the ball in the right area, you can't find the edge. And then when you find the edge, you need to hang on to your catches. And England were brilliant in the field. A lot of talk about Australia's positive brand of cricket. That's great, but sometimes you have to suck up that pressure. Can you be drawn into playing as you speak off the field sometimes? Well, I think we probably showed both today. I think we tried to defend balls and got out, and we tried to play shots and got out. So I don't necessarily think it was our aggression today that cost us the wickets. I think it was good bowling. And, you know, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you nick everything, and today was one of those days. And you as the batsman, your shot? Well, I probably went that way, that aggressive way. I thought I was watching other blokes get out defending around me. I thought I was going to try and... the better the bowling, the more aggressive you've got to be. That was my opportunity to show my intent. But with that comes risk, and you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Heavy roller went on, sun did come out, so different conditions for your bowlers to operate in. But how impressed or disappointed were you with their execution, their disciplines? Yeah, look, we still weren't as good as we needed to be. But again, I thought England played really well. They let the ball go well, and when they were going to go at it, they went hard. So, yeah, we could have been better. But... you know, it doesn't help when you've got 60 runs on the board. Final one, you're in a bad position at the moment. Can you save the Ashes? We've got to fight. We've got to fight. You don't give up. The Australian way is to never give up, and I stand here and say we can still find a way, but we need something special over the next 4 days.
Michael Clarke, first thing to say, of course, well done to him for actually coming out and doing an interview. Many captains wouldn't do that after day one of a Test match, but it was a dreadful day, and he took the responsibility of coming out and explaining what had gone wrong. Second thing to say, Tom Moody, he looked in that interview a bit like a broken man to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's gutted with the performance, not only of his team, but you know, his own personal performance. And we've seen the shot that he played, and you know, he quite rightly, you know, said that, you know, in those situations when the ball is darting around, sometimes, you know, the approach is to counter-attack, and that was the option he took. And he took it from I think he took it from you know, from two sides. One, from a point of view, from a personal point of view, to fight his way out of a form slump, but secondly, try to sort of turn the wheel on England when they had their upper hand, and it backfired on him badly. And when you're in that situation, and your team gets bowled out for 60, it looks terrible.
Interesting, the whole Australian setup for this match, because they pulled off an astonishing stunt by dropping an all-rounder for an out-and-out batsman, and by all accounts not telling the whole squad what the 11 was until literally an hour before the game started.
I heard Michael Clarke interviewed by Jim Maxwell on the radio on the way in, and he was nowhere near as courteous and as forthcoming in that interview as he was with Ian Ward just then. In fact, you could say he was downright grumpy, irritable, and not particularly cooperative. He seemed to be very keen to push the emphasis away from his team and himself and onto the selectors. Seems to be sort of washing his hands of the whole thing almost. And that's you know, you look at that and you look at his sort of demeanour in the interview, and you wonder whether or not this will be the last time Michael Clarke leads an Australian team. I don't mean before the Oval, but necessarily after this tour.
Tom, what did you make of that?
Yeah, look, I know that Michael Clark's been at loggerheads with selectors before. There's history there. And I get the feeling that he wanted an all-rounder in that side because he feels that it just gives him a better balance. And I must admit, if I was on that selection panel, I'd be definitely leaning towards that, given the conditions as well. You know, to have that extra seam-up bowler was the smart move, and it was always going to be hard for a new batsman in Shaun Marsh to come into a series that is racing at a tempo that it's racing at. You know, you're better off sticking with, you know, the players that are used to that tempo and try to, you know, make the adjustments from there.
Because the thing is, Bob, as soon as they went in with just 3 seamers and the spinner, they were handicapped if they had a bad time in the bat. And nobody could have foreseen that bad a time coming. But, you know, if England bat long, the likes of Mitchell Johnson and Mitchell Stark are going to be bowled into the ground. I mean, we even had 3 overs of Warner. You know you're in trouble when that happens.
Exactly, and, you know, Lyon had to bowl overs where he shouldn't have been seen today on the first day on that particular pitch. So, yeah, things are falling apart for Michael Clarke. We've seen it with enough England captains over the years when things don't go well. The Australians have a slightly different way of picking their teams. The England captain, I think, has far more say in the actual team that's picked either to go on tour or the 11 that takes the field than Australians do. Australia's way has always been you pick an 11 and then you name who the captain is. So I think Clarke has got a point about not being consulted maybe as often as he wanted, but I think everybody thought that the change would be Voges out and Shaun Marsh in for him, not a bowler going out of the team.
A final thought for you on this particular topic, Tom. At the end of the last Test match, Michael Clarke said that one of the players was still on the plane and he had to come off it. It looks to me like the other 10 have decided to join the captain on the plane and would like to go home sharpish.
You're loving this, aren't you, Charles? You're loving it.
Only a little bit.
Oh, look, yeah, look, to be honest with you, I just don't think the Australian cricket team has made the necessary adjustments technically and mentally to compete in this series. I think they're good enough, there's no question about that, but what's been presented conditions-wise, you need to make those adjustments, and they have been stubborn or whatever the case may be, blindly ignorant to the fact that they have to make these adjustments to compete over here.
The bowlers have been almost as culpable as the batsmen, you know. I mean, the batsmen have got out cheaply, yes, but the bowlers haven't exploited 2 very juicy pitches to bowl on in the last 2 games, and they didn't know how to bowl at Cardiff either.
Well, let's pick up on why Australia has struggled with the bat once again when confronted with the seaming ball. At lunch, with the dust far from settled, it has to be said, Ian Ward was joined in the zone by Michael Atherton and Ricky Ponting to try and come up with some answers.
You can be positive in defence. You can show great intent by leaving the ball or playing a forward or backward defence. You know, if your movement...
So a Ponting big leave would be...
Well, it doesn't have to be like I did it, but anyone just going forward in one movement with good, sure footwork, either forward or back, seeing it early, moving in position, letting the ball go. You can show great intent by doing that. It doesn't have to be taking half a step and trying to stand up on top of the bounce and whack it out through the covers. That's not going to work in these conditions. We've seen that in 2 Test matches in a row already. So I don't know if they're confused about the way that they want to play. They shouldn't be, because they should have learnt from last week that when conditions are like this, you're going to have to knuckle down and get through. And Chris Rogers made a good point after day 1 at Edgbaston. Sometimes you just need to find a way to get through one spell of bowling, get through a new ball, get through some cloud cover. Who knows? Like now, the sun's out. If Australia had to bat it for 20 overs, they'd be batting with the sun out. So sometimes you just have to change the way that you've played for the last maybe even 2 years just to get through.
We compared Lyth and Rogers this morning. We were perhaps suggesting that Adam Lyth could learn something from Chris Rogers. Well, perhaps it's vice versa now. Michael, you were saying about playing the ball late. This is the comparison.
Well, Chris Rogers is a very good player and has played a lot in English conditions. And actually, we've been talking about throughout this series how he is the batsman who's adapted best to English conditions. But here, you can see that he's playing with a very stiff front pad. He's playing way out in front of his pad, way out in front of his eye line, and pushing hard at the ball. So a nick is probably going to carry. Whereas Lyth on the left-hand screen here, bent front knee, ball under his eye line, playing it late behind his front pad and not right out in front.
All the top-order batsmen, Ricky, were doing that. So their eagerness just to hit the ball?
Well, yes, and some great length bowling, I think, is probably the thing that will be highlighted here. But, I mean, David Warner was, as I said on air, probably the unlucky one. Did get a good ball. Even that one there, look, 2 foot movements of the feet, not in the position. Adam Voges again wasn't far enough out. I'm sure Mike would like to have that one over again as well. But, yeah, it's, as I said, there's not too many real soft defensive shots played there. You know, they haven't let the ball come. They've been too eager to sort of try and work out in front of their body and push the ball down the ground.
It's also what's quite interested me as we've gone through the series is England have kind of recognised little weaknesses in the way that Australia play. So they know, for example, that Rogers is not so keen round the wicket. They know that Clark is not so keen against Broad. They reckon Voges gets across the stumps and plays slightly across his front pad. And that is a beautiful position for a captain to be in. Every time a new batsman comes in, you're saying, well, we've got a plan. Even when Neville came in today, and he's only been around a couple of test matches, immediately a leg slip goes in because they feel he's a bit vulnerable down the leg side. And that's a lovely position for a captain to be in.
But in terms of the Australian batsmen and in terms of where England bowled, praising Stuart Broad for getting the ball up and taking the wickets. But in terms of survival, only 8 balls would have hit the stumps out of 18 and a half overs.
And even when we saw Mitchell Johnson first come to the crease, he probably let the ball go better than any of the top order players did. He actually was leaving the ball on length a little bit, which some of those deliveries there would highlight. Nothing that he left hit the stumps. So he was prepared to try and, anyway, do what the top order hadn't been able to do and guts it out and leave the ball on length as much as anything else. But it took, you know, that stage, they were 7 down and Johnson coming to the crease. It was a little bit too late for that, so, yeah.
A classic test match morning, and you'd hope as a batting side that you'd battle through and maybe lose a couple of wickets. You'd probably say 3 fair enough. 4, it's been the bowler's day. All out in the morning. Unbelievable.
But even with that, we're talking about the change of mindset from trying to be positive. That's fine. But when you're 2 or 3 down early in the second over, you can't just go out and play that way. Who's going to take the responsibility? Which one's going to do it? So far, in 2 games, no one's done it.
Very unhappy Ricky Ponting in the zone with Michael Atherton and Ian Ward at lunchtime today. Well, now into the witness box, we summon Mr. Mark Butcher for some forensic analysis.
Well, Charles, it's probably a very old-fashioned thing to say, but cricket, particularly when there's movement and batting in particular, is very much a sideways game. The early part of the season in particular as a top-order batsman, one thing that I was desperate to try and do was to make sure I tried to keep my back foot parallel to the crease. I did not want both of my feet to be pointing up the wicket. Now, if we roll in the dismissals of the Australian batsman here, Chris Rogers in the first place, his back foot starts to pivot round before he makes contact. Steve Smith all over the place. That's absolutely not where you want to be when the ball is moving sideways. Shaun Marsh, not so culpable. He tried to anchor that back foot but ended up in a bad position. Voges, you can see here, both toes pointing down the wicket, the hips swivel and the bat doesn't come through straight. Pretty much the problem in every single dismissal. England bowled beautifully, they pitched it up, they moved the ball sideways, but as soon as you start to turn those toes back up the pitch and the hips start to swivel, the shoulders start to swivel, and you're in no control whatsoever when the ball is moving around.
So that's the technical side of it, but is there a mental side as well? One man who might not be that surprised, actually, with Australia's failing is their coach, Darren Lehmann, because back in 2013, before he got the national coach's job, I did an interview with him for a series about the influence of 2020 on the modern game. And even then, he was a worried man.
The biggest problem in cricket today is no one can bat a whole day. Players have got to learn to be able to bat a long period of time. The invent of 2020 has probably helped Test cricket in you don't have as many draws now. You just don't. I don't know what the percentage would be, but every game seems to be a result on day 3, 4, not going into day 5. And that's probably because the patience the batters don't have anymore, the young batters especially.
Well, it's an interesting point that Darren made there, as I say, speaking back in 2013, and those words, as far as today are concerned, very prophetic, Tom.
Yeah, they are. You know, the game has changed and we can't get stuck in the past, but he's got a very valid point, and I think one thing that 2020 cricket has done it's put in the forefront of all batsmen's mind the need to score. And when you're scoring, when you're trying to score when the ball is moving around like it did this morning, you're feeling for the ball. You're constantly reaching out and looking to feel for the ball, and that's where technically you get let down, as Mark was talking about. You lose your composure at the crease and you then become a sitting target for nicking off. So, yeah, look, it's certainly something that has crept in, but I think we've also got to give credit to the bowlers. You know, in this particular incident, you know, England have bowled perfectly in very, very helpful conditions.
And the other point to make, of course, Bob, is that England batted brilliantly when they had to do it, and Joe Root in particular, who we'll look at in just a moment in some detail. But, you know, they have proved that this is not a terror pitch. This is not a 60 all out, summon the pitch inspector.
Sure, England had some luck with the overhead conditions and with the toss, and when they started batting, the sun was out. Totally different scenario, but they battled away. Lyth looked to be positive from the outset. He thought that was his best way of going about things. Cook was Cook. Bell got out early. That was a pretty poor decision, I thought. And then we saw Root really play as only he can. He's fast becoming the best player in that England side. And if he goes on like this, he could, you know, even score more runs than Alistair Cook. He's so tender in years at the moment. And then Bairstow played the way Bairstow does. But Johnny's predominant bottom hand also comes into the argument we've just been having about the way these players play these days. They're always looking to biff the ball to the boundary, and that's part of the problem that Mark was talking about, the 2 feet pointing down the pitch, and they're looking to hit the ball through mid-on, not back where it came from.
Well, we'll talk about Root and Bairstow in particular in the final part of the verdict, but just a last thought on this one from the pair of you. What is the psychological damage to a side who have had that sort of trauma inflicted on them, 60 all out?
Massive, you know. You know, they'll sleep tonight, but not too well. But you go back into the dressing room after not even completing a session with the bat as a team, you've got a lot to try to get your head around for the rest of the day, because you've had your day absolutely smashed apart. So very hard for the bowlers to, you know, get their heads around, right, how are we going to take advantage of these conditions. The other thing that's very hard for the bowlers is that now 2 tests in a row, they haven't had a total to bowl to. And Bob's probably the expert to refer to here, but it's so much easier bowling when there's 300 or 250 at least on the board. When you've got 60 or 130, like in the last test match, you know, you're always searching for wickets. Yeah. And when you're searching for wickets, you then just put the ball there, you over-pitch, you try too hard, you don't build pressure. And that's the most important thing in conditions that are helpful.
OK, time for our last break on tonight's verdict. Still to come, the Aussie journalists put the boot into their national side, and we'll turn the spotlight, as promised, on the Yorkie pair who kept the pressure on Australia all the way to the end of this extraordinary day one in Nottingham.
Hardies of Australia sponsors England cricket.
Fall in love with driving again with the Yaris Hybrid, with 0% APR representative. Toyota, always a better way.
Sorry, mate.
Hey, sorry.
Hey.
Oh, no!
Blast! Benji!
All over the computer.
It's broken.
No, Benji.
Completely ruined.
Sunlight comes creeping in, illuminates our skin. We watch the day go by, stories of all we did. They made me think of you, they made me think of you. Oh, our lights go dark in the moment we lost and found. And I just wanna be by
Go anywhere and everywhere with a TomTom sat-nav with European map updates for life and a free case. Now only £79. Get out there and give the car some summer loving with 3 for 2 on car cleaning. And be ready for that summer journey with better than half price on all Halfords 4-litre oil. Now only £12. Visit Halfords this weekend.
So there's this guy, right? The believer. No odds too long, no dream too great, he always says. And Generous John, first to the bar, last in the cab. When he wins, he gets them in, which keeps Brightside here smiling. This boy's eggs are always sunny side up. They are the dreamers, the glory seekers. They are the have-a-go heroes of Saturday afternoon. They are the betting men. And this is the Ladbrokes Life. Join in with the Ladbrokes app.
Jamaica, a burst of root ginger to upgrade your taste buds.
Erotica season continues Wednesday at 9 with songs to have sex to on Sky Arts or catch up on demand.
Feel like this. Hardy sponsors England cricket.
It wasn't just England who took centre stage at Trent Bridge today. Before play started, the whole ground rose to pay tribute to one of Nottingham's favourite adopted sons, the South African all-rounder Clive Rice, who died last week. And instead of a traditional minute's silence, there was a minute's applause, which in many ways was a far more fitting tribute to a great cricketer who led the county to 2 county championship titles in the 1980s. And I suspect that if Clive was looking down on the day's play, he would have thoroughly enjoyed the bowling of another one of Nottingham's favourite sons, Stuart Broad, who in 9 inspired overs took 8 for 15 before lunch to bundle the Aussies out for 60. And by the close of course, Joe Root had scored 124 not out, and England were in complete control. So how have the travelling Australian media taken today? What will Australians be reading about as they get up on a winter's morning down under?
A debacle. I mean, it's a catastrophe. We were pretty pressed for time, but all we could do was really document what had happened. And one thing stood out. There was one sort of main element to the story, and that was that shot that Michael Clarke played. Woeful shot by a captain. Last thing the team needed, and the last thing Michael Clarke needs when his career's in his shape.
Probably sums it up that the headline in the Sydney Morning Herald back in Australia to my story is Pomicide. This happened at night in Australia, and we're just absolutely staggered about what's happened, and I'm writing accordingly.
Well, I wasn't around in 1902 when they made less, and I wasn't around in 1936 when they made less. And it's the lowest score by an Australian team since they invented covers. So it just doesn't get any worse than this, to be honest.
I was at the MCG in 2010-11 to see that disastrous first day at the MCG, and I thought that couldn't be topped. But being here at Trent Bridge, I'm staggered to see that it actually has been topped. I think I heard Michael Vaughan say almost rhetorically, is this Australia's worst day in an Ashes series? And I think we all know the answer to that.
Is this another nail in Michael Clarke's coffin? Funny, you know, I saw him standing looking at the pitch this morning for about half an hour, and he looked like a man staring into his own grave. Guess what? He was.
He's a top bloke, that one, Bob. I like him. We could get him instead of Moody, couldn't we?
Well, my job's in danger here, isn't it? I have to get my chainsaw oiled up. He gives them some real stick, doesn't he?
Golly, the old cornflakes are not going to be going down well at home in Sydney and Melbourne and all places west and east.
I think a lot of people are going to be shocked when they wake up, you know, tomorrow, or, you know, they're waking up now. Yeah, right now. And I'm sure some have woken up anyway with a restless sleep knowing what's happened. But, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be very shocked because, go back to the start of the series, Australia came here expecting to win and were expected to win. They were favourites, not outright favourites, because England are always difficult to beat here in England. We know that. Yeah. England do play well here, but Australia were firm favourites. But the wheels have not just fallen apart; they've absolutely disintegrated, and we cannot find any more to get the carriage back on track.
Let's talk about Joe Root's 100, because while Australia were hapless when they batted, he was absolutely brilliant. This is another fine innings, and I think actually in the middle of the innings he got a bit of a back twinge.
Yeah, he did. This is a guy in absolutely prime form. His footwork is utterly exquisite, if I could use that word about a guy wielding a stick in a game. Every time he needed to get forward, he got forward. Every time he needed to go back, he was sideways on, he crunched, he didn't miss a single thing. The strike rate, the tempo that he is batting with at the moment is extraordinary, because he's not going out there and muscling the ball around, he's not taking undue risks. Basically, as a bowler, if you get it a tiny bit wrong, he's hitting you for 4. It's just wonderful. Where the Australians were kind of off balance, playing across the line, not in control of their hands and in control of what the bat was doing, he was masterful today.
Had conditions changed dramatically between the first 18 overs and 3 balls and the rest of the day?
Yeah, they had changed quite significantly. Ian Ward mentioned there the heavy roller had gone on, the sun was out. Yes, conditions were different, but Joe Root is such an intelligent cricketer, and he batted the perfect tempo for the innings. He left the ball superbly early on, defended if the ball was in the right spot. If they bowled a bad ball, he hit it for 4. It was a wonderful, wonderful innings.
I would imagine as well that, again, back in Australia, there'll be some quite surprised at the way that Joe has suddenly blossomed into this world beater, because, let's face it, the last Ashes series, Australia had him on toast.
Yeah, they did, but I think also the world is recognising a genuine superstar as being born, and I think Australia have recognised that too. There's some momentum been picking up with Joe Root for a few months now. And I think people around the world are recognising, hang on, we've got a real superstar on our hands here, and he's world class. He's not just one of a group of really good players in world cricket at the moment. He's at the top of the pack with the best.
We also ought to talk about Johnny Bairstow, because this was an important innings for him after getting worked over spectacularly by Mitchell Johnson in the last Test match. Didn't go on and get a breakthrough 100, which was a disappointment for him. And the truth is, Mark, it was quite a sort of in and out innings. I mean, there were some lovely shots and 1 or 2 sketchy ones as well.
Well, yeah. However, you have to give him a lot of credit, because that delivery that dismissed him back at Edgbaston was an absolute brute, and it would have got most people out, let's face it. But Johnny has come into the series with a reputation as somebody who's struggled with the short ball in the past. And so, to come out today and still look to put bat to ball, still look to sort of to play as naturally as he possibly can. We heard Stuart Broad talk about the fact that Trevor Bayliss had said, listen guys, we've picked you because this is what you're good at, go out there and do it. And the fact that he was able to do that on a stage that's a very difficult one for batters today. Joe has just made it look easy because he's playing so well, was a real testament to a bit of character that he's got there, a bit of Yorkshire grit.
Yeah, the Bayliss effect is something we'll probably talk about later on in the match, later on in the series, but it is beginning to have its effect, isn't it?
Without a doubt, and it's interesting because it's the first time we actually heard his name used, whether it be a player mention it, which is very much Trevor Bayliss' style. He's a backroom man. He quietly goes about his business. He doesn't want the limelight, and he doesn't say a lot to the press, but he'll give his players all the freedom and confidence. And interesting that the trip they had to Spain, he identified one area that he thought was in his control, and that was just to improve the catching. You're not going to improve batsmen overnight or bowlers overnight, but our focus is we're going to catch the ball better. And when he played, and I played against Trevor Bayliss, he played for New South Wales, he was a very good fielder. So it's obviously part of his mantra as a coach, everyone has to field well. It's not a bad thing if you're bowling.
And I think it was the same when Duncan Fletcher was in charge, because Duncan was a terrific fielder when he played for Rhodesia or Zimbabwe, as it was in those days.
Yeah, I think the thing is that if you're not making a contribution as a bowler in a Test match 11, you've got to be the best possible fielder you can be. And if you're fielding close to the wicket, you've got to make sure that you catch 95% of stuff that comes your way. If you're an outfielder, we did see David Warner bowl today, probably shouldn't have done, but you know, he's not expecting to bowl. He does fielding brilliantly, and that's what everybody's got to do if you're not making a contribution in other areas.
So England are 214 ahead with 6 wickets in hand, Tom. It's not a happy situation for Australia. Is there any way back for them, or are you writing this off and happily giving us back the Ashes? Because if you want to do that now, we'll take them.
No, I'm not giving them to you at all. It's not for me to give to you, but no, I'm not writing it off. Look, it's going to be a miracle if we claw it back, but Australia bowl England out by lunchtime tomorrow. They bat out of their skins and score 500 plus. Game on. You know, it can happen. And I think England recognise that there is still the door is still slightly ajar. It's not slam close. But Australia have to go to bed tonight and go to the ground tomorrow with that mindset. Right, we need wickets early. Let's bowl England out quickly and let's bat long and deep.
In 30 seconds, is that going to happen?
I don't think England, given that they have come into this series expected to be beaten by all and sundry, in the mood to be benevolent in any way tomorrow. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they weren't still batting long after tea time and putting this game completely to bed.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. A pleasure to have your company. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mark. OK, we're very nearly done here. Just before we go, to quickly remind you, of course, that you will be able to see live coverage of this 4th Test match, day 2. It's extraordinary. It's still day 2, isn't it, coming up? Anyway, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for that. And then, of course, whatever happens, we will have highlights of it at 8 o'clock in the evening, and we'll all be back sitting round this table chewing the fat at 9 o'clock for another verdict. But for now, from us all here, it's goodbye to you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy.
Never cross. DS3, the 90